¿Qué ondas, primos?
Primas.
Y primes.
Welcome to
My primos.
My primos.
My
Primo
podcast.
My name is Freddie.
My name's Kevin Garcia.
My name is Elia Maria Madrid.
Well, this is Chikuma, whenever I can make it.
My Primos podcast discusses all things fandom and pop culture,
From comic books,
Movies?
To whatever obsession we have this week.
but with a Latine
Latine.
Malatine.
perspective. Remember, we're all primos,
We're all primes.
We're all primos.
no matter what part of the world we're from. ¿Qué ondas, primos, primas, and primes? And welcome back to My Primos podcast. My name is Freddie, and with me tonight is my primo and yours, the man that fills a hole in everybody's heart, or
Damn it.
any like thereof, Mr. Kevin Garcia.com. Say what's up, Kevin.
What's up, Kevin?
Look at that, man. A new intro for you, right? New day, a new week. How you like that one? I still want the shirt. I want a shirt.
I don't know how I feel about that one. I don't know how I feel about filling a hole, but it's what it is.
Hey, man, I feel great filling holes because you know what? It's a need. It's a need. You fill those holes. Anyways, guys, here we are. Mr. Kevin Garcia, we are back for another show. Miss Spice Illustrations is out right now. You're taking some rest days. But we, of course, have some guests this week. Mr. Kevin Garcia, who is joining us today?
Well, we are missing our regular artist, and we had another artist last week as well. And we have actually multiple artists this week. So joining us once again, Gonzalo Alvarez and Grace Chadwick, amazing artists from out in East Texas, and their co-conspirator, Will Rogers. Gonzalo, Grace, you want to introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about who you guys are?
Yeah, hey everyone, my name is Gonzalo Alvarez. I am a Chicano artist from Port Arthur, Texas, and I've been creating pretty much Aztec fantasy for a few years now. I've been working on a graphic novel called Pollo Man, which premiered at Texas Latino Comic Con, and it's been in development since and should be out soon as it's done this year. And I also helped create the Nawalli Aztec card game, which we'll be talking about today. And I just love to do things that relate with Aztec culture because I'm obsessed with all of this neat stuff that I can't wait to share with you.
You know, it's funny you say that, and I have behind me the Aztec, sunstone. So I don't know at all what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, no, it's a stone, and it represents the sun.
I meant like I don't know anything about Aztec culture. I don't ever think about it.
Right.
Grace, what about your art? I actually was just showing somebody a cactus woman I bought from you recently that I could not walk away from the table without. How would we describe the kind of art you do?
I like to do fantasy paintings, usually portraits of like spirit women who are part plant. I think that's a good way to
Part
describe
elemental.
it.
Elemental spirit women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I purchased the print too. It's hanging above my fireplace. I think it was a woman with her face was like I don't want to say like agave plant or something like this. Like it was really interesting. Like,
It was a ghost plant.
yeah, the cordyceps looking one.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, my wife loved it. She puts it above the fireplace. It's there. She puts all her plants around it. So it just fits the motif. So yeah, she really loves your work. We're fans of it.
I like the idea of a plant woman being framed by plants. She must feel very at home.
Right.
That's the
Right.
point, man.
It's the
That-
goddess.
That's how they need to be hung up. Yes.
Right.
It's going to be
They
an
need to
instruction
be.
now whenever anybody buys one of your pieces.
Yes.
You need to
Must-
sign something that says
Right.
you have to sign something that says they have
If you
to frame it
don't-
by plants.
Yeah, if you don't, Grace will find you, or she's going to send Kukui after you.
yes.
Right.
Boy.
El Cucuy.
But who is with us today? Who is Will Rogers? What is this elegant man here with his well sculpted beard?
As all
And
beards
it looks
should
like
be.
he loves to be outdoors, apparently, right?
Gonzalo
Is that
already
okay?
gave us a hint with Nawalli. Will, what is it you do with Nawalli, and how do you know these two crazy kids?
Well, I met Gonzalo at Lamar right after I graduated. I went back there for something, and I was in the
Lamar
art
is-
department and was introduced to him. Lamar University,
Oh, okay.
where we went to college. Yep. And so I met him there, and then we started hanging out, and we've just been friends since then, and would hang out periodically. And he'd show me his work, and in 2022, early 2022, he made the prototype for Nawalli, like a few cards with some stats and things on it that were handwritten on pieces of paper. We put them into card sleeves, and he brought it over, and I tested it out at my house. And I said, "This is really cool. It's got a lot of potential." He asked if I'd like to work on it. I said, absolutely. So I've been working with him since then to develop the game. Me and him developed all the rules together, with Grace helping Tess a lot as well. And then, I've been working on the actual production of the game too. So game design, balancing the game, and then actually working with the manufacturers to produce the game, as well as the business side of Studio Tijuana's, making sure that we can actually run it and be successful in that.
And we've been hinting about it a little bit. What is Nawalli?
Nawalli is the Aztec card game everyone has been waiting for. It's a card game where you become a Nawalli sorcerer, which is a shape-shifting sorcerer from Aztec culture, and you summon creatures and spirits and monsters into an arena to battle against your opponents. You can equip them with different weapons, and they all have different abilities based on the Aztec day signs, which are kind of like the horoscopes. And it's just basically our attempt at making a card game that is balanced, accessible, and premieres Aztec creatures and spirits that do not get as much representation in pop culture as they should.
I love this concept. Like I said, I've been one of my many obsessions is Mesoamerica and the various cultures throughout, not just Aztecs and the various Maya groups, but all of the groups that make up those groups. Obviously, you and I have had this conversation before.
Yeah.
People hear us say Aztec. Obviously, we are primarily talking about the Mexica. We're talking about the Triple Alliance, all those things. But we use the term Aztec because that is what is in pop culture. It is what even historians use. But the idea of making this more accessible, making it more in front of the people, I guess, is what appeals to me. And the idea of making it a card game, which something so many of my high school students love playing. By the way, the previous version of Nawalli, I have had my students play. We'd have like free hour or whatever during the week, and I'd be like, "Hey, by the way, a friend of mine designed this," and they got into it. They really, really did.
Oh,
and
man, amazing.
I tried really hard to get pictures of it, but by the time I got the camera out, they're like, "Hey, we're done playing now," and I'm like, "But like last week, you guys."
My kid plays it too, and we played it here at home, and we really enjoy it. And because me and my son, we play Magic, we played a lot of TCG games, Yu-Gi-Oh, etc. And we'll poke around, and he even, what's it called? He plays Roblox cards games. Like that. He's into that, and they'll design their own cards as well. They do their own thing. But like, he always told me when we play this game, he goes, "This game's fun. It's quick, and it's easy to pick up." And he goes, "Yeah, it's fun and quick and easy. So if we can play one or two games without burning, half the afternoon." He's like Kevin's kids. My son's 14. He plays a couple rounds. He's all right, cool. I'm done. I'm taking off, which is fine. That's what kids do. They're not going to sit there for 5-6 hours. That's how games work. So this is very pick up and go, and it's not too. How can I say? Because I play Magic, and I love the game. I'm all about the geeky rule and the stack, and I'm all about getting in the weeds with this stuff, right? But you tend to lose something because of all that. And Nawalli kind of did away with just overcomplicating things, and it has enough depth with the simplicity of it that even if you're a veteran TCG player, you can pick this up and really find unique ways to win and really ways to advance the board. So I can appreciate that as somebody that does follow and play these games a lot. So it's a great game. But you have launched, as recording this, a new Kickstarter. What is this Kickstarter going to do to the game, or bring into the game that the people that are already invested or are curious about investing would benefit from it?
Oh, yeah. So we have spent the last year, this was our first published game. And so we spent the last year taking all of the feedback from every single person, reviewers, players, etc., and improving every aspect that we could where people felt there was some friction or that we just in hindsight wanted to improve. And so some of those changes include updating the stats of some of our cards, exactly 20. The stats, we follow a formula that Will Rogers, the brain and math wizard, came up with. to make sure that our cards are balanced. And we changed some stat bricks in order to make those cards more viable. We made all the symbols on the cards colored. So right now they're black and white in the first edition.
Mhm.
Every single symbol in the version is colored. And that
Like different
helps.
colors.
Yeah, so the jaguar symbol is colored. The rain symbol is colored. So it just brings the cards more to life, and they're easier to spot. So that way, on the reference card, you can quickly find what this ability does.
Okay.
Which
Makes
was
sense.
a friction thing, that there was 20 abilities, but they kind of look similar because they're all in black and white. Well, now they're colored. It'll be easier to find. We've also added a new spell card. We've added, we changed a spell card that was broken to a different ability. And I'll let Will, if you guys don't mind, continue some of the other points.
I was going to
Yeah,
ask,
yeah.
Will, is this true? Are you actually the brains?
Gonzalo is very good at game design as well, and it's not all just me. But I will say that when it comes to like the fine details of tuning, you kind of have to make a spreadsheet and make graphs and all of that. And that was something that I had the skill set to dive into to get that last 20%, 10% of balance, like right where it needed to be. Because we did a lot of it with intuition when we were developing it, just through play testing, just playing over and over and adjusting the stats. And then that gave us a feel for where things should generally be. And it wasn't until we put it into the spreadsheet that we could actually see where there was dips or peaks in the curves that shouldn't have been there. And we could kind of even out the power curve of the cards.
Are there any updates or examples within the new rules set you sent us that we can kind of point to for that?
So in particular, it'll be on the Kickstarter. Once this goes live, you can see like the hurricane creature, for example. We changed his stats from an attacker to a all-rounder. And so we have these 3 stat types that the creatures can have: attacker, defender, all-rounder.
Mhm.
And the main updates we did to the cards were just shifting those stat bricks around. But if you pull up a card, you can see an example of like how we do the stat bricks. So basically each card has a certain number of life equivalent points that it can be assigned. And that's the common denominator between all cards. We can kind of reduce anything that's on the card to its value in life points, essentially. And so that allowed us to tune the power level of the card based on the energy levels. And that also allows us to avoid having cards that are way too strong. Like in Magic, you would have to buy a bunch of booster packs. You're trying to find the cards that give you the most value for the amount of mana that it's going to cost, right? And some of those cards for the same mana cost are just drastically better than another card, a 1 cost that does one thing, and then a 1 cost that has 3 different abilities and crazy stats and stuff. So like the power creep just got out of control in Magic, and we wanted to design the game from the ground up with a fixed set of stat blocks and point distributions, so that when we do expansions, they'll all fit within that scheme instead of just having more and more and more powerful cards that you have to buy booster packs for or something.
Well, you mentioned Magic. Magic would have like new cards to come out, but you could still use a lot of the old cards. But then they'd say certain cards were no longer considered valid anymore. Is this an entirely new edition, or is it one where you can still use some of the older cards?
All the old cards are still going to be good because we didn't actually change the stat bricks. We just readjusted some cards to have different stat bricks that fit better with their abilities. So the original stat distribution and points were all still fine in this one. So all the old cards are still fully usable, and you might even prefer some of them for certain situations, depending on what strategy you're going for with your deck. So welcome to continue
As you were as you were scrolling through the rulebook, I forgot to mention, entirely new rulebook. The rulebook has been completely updated. As you can see, there's graphs to show you exactly how each ability acts. So we have visuals and diagrams for pretty much every step in the game. The rulebook has almost doubled in size because of adding all these pictures so that it's easier to learn.
And also the adventure mode.
Right. And the most important thing is the adventure mode. We actually created an adventure mode, which you can see if you move just a few more. It's a single player or co-op experience. You can actually play this by yourself. You basically choose your starter Nawals and your starter spells, and you are going to go through a consecutive 5 battles. And after each battle, you are going to be able to recruit Nawals and spells into your deck to build it until you get to the final boss. But what's interesting is the way this works is we have 3 lines. So if you go down on the rule book, you'll be able to see that there's 3 lanes, and they basically move forward, and you have to decide almost like a puzzle. Okay, they're going to come forward. I should put a card here. I should prepare there. You can win by either defeating all of the cards coming forward or by taking all the tonality points. And so, again, this is a single player or co-op experience. So that's something that I'm really excited to share with the world this time around.
I know when I played it with you, I enjoyed it as a 2-player, but I always said that I'm always looking for like those party games. Is there like a 4-player option? I see it's on here now. It says 4-player option.
Yes.
I love the idea of a 1-player. I like to play solitaire. And again, it's 2 things. It's enjoying a game that you can play, but it's also learning about the cultural history, which I think is great.
Right. So yeah, that was our goal. Was we wanted to provide as many ways to use your box set as possible. So again, you can play with up to 4 players, free for all, and it's not like one person gets knocked out until one is standing. Everyone's in the game until someone wins. And then we have the adventure mode for people like Kevin, who wants to play with their friend against the board. And so, yeah, like we're just trying to provide a complete package that we feel is competitive to games like Magic the Gathering or other games that solely focus on that competitive 1v1 aspect. And then, buying a bunch of cards and collectible cards to be able to, essentially compete, which is something we are making sure we don't do is, we make every card accessible and available.
Right. So we're not going to have random booster packs with like one powerful card out of 12. We're going to sell expansion decks when we're ready for that. And every card is going to be easily buyable and not ridiculously expensive. Accessibility is a really important aspect of the design philosophy for this.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I can agree to that. I mean, I just as someone that consumes and burns a lot of their savings on buying singles on TCG Player. Yeah, it comes down to that. Like the aftermarket sales suck because it's scalpers and anything else with any type of collectible game. It does limit the fact that my 14-year-old right now is planning to play Magic this weekend, and we're working with the pool of cards that I've collected over time so they can play. But hey, my friend bought this pre-con that has these stuffs in it. That have these really high-end cards. There's always that fear of not being blown out of the table, right? Because they just don't have the same access to cards, and so you're defeating that altogether. There's never going to be a situation, at least that we can see from what you're saying, where someone's going to be laughed out of the table because their deck isn't up to par.
I mean, potentially you'll have like a rare card, but it won't be a rare card that causes a game-breaking situation. It's just like, it's because it was exclusive at an event. That's all that is.
Well, and those cards are not going to be in the tournaments. We're going to use for the tournaments just cards that are commercially available to buy as part of the base set or part of an expansion. Those promo cards that we've done in the past, they are going to be rare, but it's more of just a concept for future expansion cards that we're going to release later. So people can support us by getting those promo cards from various sources early to get kind of a sneak peek and some cards early from the stuff we're going to release later on.
Yeah, but again, even those promo cards aren't going to by themselves change the game. So it's not like there's an exclusive rare card that's what I'm getting at.
Balance the same as everything else, and also because it's a drafting game, right? It goes into the pool of cards. You may not see it if you're dealing out random cards to draft from, like we do in the game, and you can always like pick that before somebody else, right? Or they pick that and you pick another card that's equally good in a different way. Or you can counter it. You can see what abilities it has and then pick something that counters it, right?
Right. All of the cards, like he was saying, for example, the Kickstarter exclusive card is Donatiu, which we posted today on our social media. That card will be available for purchase, but it just won't be holographic. Yeah. That's the only difference between you getting a special promo and not having it, is that when you can buy it later on, it just won't be holographic. And that's where the collectible aspect can still exist, is that you can be the person to collect the gold versions of all the cards that you want to get. So like, you know, someone may have the same exact card, but yours may be holographic because you got it, you know, as a promo. And that may have value, you know, for you and maybe even in the aftermarket. But again, it's not like because this card is better or not accessible.
Gotcha. So just to ask you, you know, Gonzalo, and of course Will, I know you're chiming in here. I think Kevin's doing a little bit of research in the background for us, but regarding the new Kickstarter. But I want to just ask, since I am one that will sit there and draft. You know, draft, for those that don't know, is pretty much you are all sharing a pool of cards amongst the table, which you all take turns pulling cards and building a specific, you know, set number deck, right? And you battle each other on that. So with that, but there are still those people like myself, and even I want that one card. You know, I want that one trump card. I want that one, you know, sweeper card that I'm gonna find for. And is it just the old school gamer that kind of goes, "Hey, I really want the, you know, I want the ultra card or whatever." That's just kind of keeping me from just jumping in both feet, or is that never going to be an option for somebody like me? Maybe.
Interesting. So
Well,
like
you're not
you're
going to be
saying,
able to stack your deck just by spending more money, right? But like, if you get lucky in the draft, you can certainly pick certain cards that are going to be really, really strong. That maybe your opponent says, "Oh no, I can't believe he got that," and the draft can go a certain way where you just get completely stacked, and you can win through
Gotcha.
superior drafting, right? But
right?
it's a
And
skill-based thing instead of a wallet depth-based thing.
There we
right?
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. You can't buy. What is it? Pay to win. You know, it's not
Yeah.
that kind of game.
that is the number one. We're just basically from the ground up saying no pay to win. That's just not a part of the game system.
Awesome.
There's pay to collect. You know, like I said, you can have all the holographic cards, you know, because you've been collecting them. You know, I run promos on my Patreon every month. I release a new holographic version, and those will again be available later on, but they won't be holographic. And so
'Cause I'm
that's
one of those guys. I'll buy the variant. I'm talking about Magic again. I'll buy the variant art just because it's a card that costs a nickel, but because I love that art or I love that artist or that card means something to me, I'll pay the extra dollar or two just to get that version of it. It's not
right,
game breaking. It's just that artist did something with it that I really enjoyed, or a variant of it. So it kind
right,
of caters to the artist collector in you, and then of course the gamer, like you said, Will. You can't pay to win. It's a draft game. That's the build. And draft on its own is it's fun. It's exciting. It always mixes it up. You're never gonna have the same deck twice.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it was
do want
always
to
my
point
favorite
out we
format.
do have custom as part of an official mode. And in tournaments, we may and will have custom decks. So, like, essentially, you can just choose what 8 cards you want in your Nawal deck and what 8 cards you want in your spell deck and what Guardian you want. And that's going to be where the meta game really comes to life because we've decided that there's no limit. There's no arbitrary limit anymore of you can only have 2 of a copy or 4 of a copy in a deck, right? Like that's a limit in Magic. You can only have up to 4 of one card. In this case, you just choose all the cards you want and within that limit and see if you can win. And that's, you know, again, another way to play it is you could just custom choose it. So
And you'll be able to buy a full set of cards as part of the upgrade pack, which is good for people that bought the first edition of the game as well. It'll have the updated rulebook, some extra mats in case your old ones are getting worn, and the full set of cards. So if you really want to get into Constructed, for the cost of one Jace the Mind Sculptor, you could have, 10 sets of Nawalli cards.
Very specific.
Yeah, literally.
You know,
Literally.
I want to ask you about a different kind of meta, I guess.
Yeah.
You've been comparing it to Magic. Another one that I think a lot of my students play is Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
And of course, that one got big 20 years ago because of the anime.
Yes.
What is the meta narrative of this story? What if we had, in a perfect world, an anime with your art style of Nawalli? What is the story behind the game? What are people playing? Are they?
You are a Nawalli sorcerer, and you have just joined the Kalmekak, where all the Nawallis are being taught all the Nawalli arts, and you guys are sent out to find out what's going on in the hills where supposedly Nawals are attacking people, And supposedly there's also, evil sorcerers called Tlacatecolot. These Tlacatecolot are essentially rogue Nawalis who use their powers for evil. And so the Nawalis go out to defeat these evil sorcerers using their magic for bad. And so in the Nawalli show, we would be following some characters going to investigate what creature is causing this problem in this city and then find the mystery. And then it turns out maybe it's Cuitlapanton who's stealing any kid who goes pee in the bush. Or it's Yowaltepostli who sounds like a wood, a axe hitting the wood at night. And, all the woodsmen are going missing. So that's what I imagine the Nawalli show would be. And that is definitely a goal for us, is to get to the point where Nawalli isn't just a card game, but it's everything. It's built from the ground up to be a story, a video game, a card game, everything possible that Pokemon has done, right? But now with the culture that I feel should be out there. Like
so basically this. You got your Nawalli masters essentially fighting against each other on a mat. I want this anime to happen.
Right. They meet at the court every day at 6 to battle it out and just to, train with each other. No one gets hurt. All of this is an illusion. But when they go out into the real world, that's when
they're in the shadow realm, like I like I attribute it to that because that's what was the thing, right? That's the biggest, like Kevin said, Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like we watch these shows or read these manga where we kind of get connected to the storyline and the characters. And, hey, that's the Dark Magician. I want that card, and that became that collector thing, right? And the story behind Nawalli and the fact that if it ever does develop into something like that, can only just elevate the hype behind it, because my kid's a good demographic. He's 13, he's 14 years old. He likes card games because I forced it down his throat. But but he ignores mine and he goes, no, I'm going to play this indie stuff on the side, which is fine. It is Magic's it is what it is, right? It's the old man's game. But he played Nawalli because he liked the art. He liked playing with you guys, of course. That helped. And he was part of the Discord for a while. And then he said, yeah, this is really cool. I like it. Like this is kind of a fun pick up and go. And he's this kind of sprung him into making his own game. He's making his own Post-it notes and his own stuff with his friends and writing mechanics and stuff. And that spurred, from that. And that's cool. I mean, you guys got to hopefully feel good that there are people playing this game going, wow, this is really cool. I can do this too. You're spurring that creativity, no?
Yeah, man, that's inspiring. I wish him the best. And, Gonzalo's here if he ever has any questions. But yeah, that to me is probably the reason I make what I make. Is I wish I had someone out there making Aztec Mexican stuff that I could look up and be like, wow, I want to do something like that one day, but there wasn't. And so now I hope that with Nawalli and Pollo Man even, I can sort of be like, here's kind of like the Aztec world. I spent a lot of time building it so it can be kind of authentic. And now you can just kind of, pull from this for your ideas without having to do the grueling research that I had to go through.
Can that be a tier for backers that Gonzalo will always be there if they're on a certain tier?
Wow.
Yeah. For sure. Let's make that. We still have like 8 hours left.
I mean, that'll be the $20,000 tier, but like Gonzalo will be there when you call him.
You need a tier called Will Call. That Will is always on call.
Yeah,
and that way he can help you with the stats. Called the Will Call tier.
Right.
Need a statistician. There you go.
I'd be happy to help him with anything. Like that's awesome that he's starting with just making those paper prototypes, because that really is where it all begins. That's where we got our start. We still have those paper prototypes. I've got them in a box. We're gonna do something with them one day, show them off somewhere. Yeah, but that is really where it starts.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of stretch goals, I want to mention we actually do have some stretch goals in our Kickstarter campaign this time around. The first couple of stretch goals are just another awesome card that we're just going to give to every single person who is a part of the Kickstarter. So we reach this goal, everyone gets a card. It's like the Oprah. And then if we reach, however, I think it's 100,000, I will actually do the Nawalli short comic I will do that thing, that comic we were talking about. I will do that if I can reach that
That's
amount.
cool.
And if we can reach 500,000, we will make sure that the mobile version me and Will talk about all the time can actually come to life.
I guarantee you, I would be playing that one all the time, single player. I mean, I'm just that's
Yeah.
That's what I want. It's animated. Whenever you summon the cards, they're not digital cards. They're sprites. They actually pop out in the arena, and they're like in the idle animation. And so when you send your creature to attack, I want it to be 2D.
There you
I want
go.
it to be beautiful and just
Kevin, hold on. You need a model. Go ahead, Kevin. Go.
Yeah.
You need that
exactly.
sprite model. That's what
Right.
you need.
the Makawit, they're gonna be in the hand to be like,
Yeah. We can make him for the Chihuahua or the monkey. One of those.
There you go, Chihuahua
That's
one. Yeah,
basically me.
there you
That's
go.
basically me.
Yeah, I see it. I
But
think that whenever you mention the mobile version, right? Are there plans for a web browser? I know we kind of talked about it in the past with the original launch about a web client per se, something that's playable online. Because yes and no. I mean, sometimes. Oh, what? Oh, hold on. Let me see what's Kevin doing there.
He said I could be the Chihuahua. I'm like, I'm ready for this. I'm ready.
I love it.
And you know what? I'll come with my own spells too.
Teaching. And now we need one of those in the game too.
Seriously,
Now we do.
whistle.
Yeah.
Next
That's a
next
good item.
card.
It'd be a good
Yeah.
item.
Ooh,
We need a death whistle item.
That would be cool.
there you
Yeah.
go. But is there plans for some type of web client for somebody can try? And before you jump to mobile with sprites and everything, is there a version of that we can maybe look forward to in the future?
Tabletop simulator is something that a lot of people have been bringing up. We actually spoke about it with on a podcast earlier today, and that may be sort of the first step to that mobile version is a tabletop sim, and hopefully by the end of the year.
No,
So
it's exciting because
I'm down for that.
that's an avenue to try it because that's how most people. Well, let me give it a shot online, see if it's something that I dig, and they go, "Wow, I love this. Let me jump to paper, to tabletop." I don't know if
Right.
that's just something, and I'm glad that you're thinking about it and you're looking towards it because that's where, like my kid, that's why he went towards. He grew up with paper magic, but when he played he plays blocks cards and something else. I think there's even something called like Lorcana, the Disney stuff.
Lorcana, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah. The Lorcanito, like there's different stuff like that online, like cockatrice. There's so many clients, right, that people use online to develop and make stuff, and that's why I was curious. As you talked about mobile, which that would be awesome, but I'm hoping that fingers crossed we get a web client. So that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
And
we'll have that before for sure.
Emociones trágicas revuelven el corazón, que hacen que todo sea más que una canción. Canciones melodiosas.
go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No,
there.
no. I was just saying. I'm just waiting for that comic. We need to hit that 50,000,
Yeah,
Yes.
100,000, because then I can eat.
100,000, Kevin.
and then you can eat. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can eat. Speaking of comics, so taking a little step, you mentioned Pollo Man, and I'm curious to know a little bit about that. You kind of, when we first met so many years ago, I forget what time that was, before
Yeah.
COVID even,
2017, 18.
17, 18 in there. We met, we talked, and I bought a copy of your book. I have it somewhere in here. Your book, your original book for
I
Pollo
have
Man.
mine on the shelf right there, actually.
Yeah, and
Amazing.
my kid loved it. I even gave it for a while to a nephew. He was just learning how to read, and we gave it to him to read too. Oh, there it is. See, Grace has it, and Kevin went to look for his, but there it is. Look at that, Mr. Kevin Garcia coming through.
Book
And
buddies.
There you go, book buddies.
That's the prologue. This is and then that's chapter 1,
Yeah.
which is what premiered at the Texas Latino Comic-Con and changed everything for me.
I mean, it was there's Kevin. See, yeah, that's the book that I picked up at Comic Con. I was there when you presented the work, and I mean, we were really excited to see the book. Really love the love and passion you had behind it. What can you tell us? It's been a little bit like quiet on that front. Hold on, Kevin wants to keep showing off your work. Go,
Yeah.
keep
Look at
doing it.
this. I
Go,
love
go.
this page. Love this 2-page spread, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's man, it so I got picked up by a publisher, and as you know, with a publisher, you're working with editors. And so
Yeah.
the moment I got picked up by a publisher, I essentially could no longer really show what I was working on because it's for a book that's going to be published. And so
Gotcha.
that's basically the whole reason it kind of went, it seems silent. And the reality is, I've just been rewriting this book since that inception. When you saw this was chapter 1. Then it was like, okay, now make a full 6-chapter book and make it make sense. And then it was like, oh, I don't really know that much about writing. I actually have to become a better writer and a better storyteller. And so, and that's some fan art Grace did. She's awesome.
See,
Look at
I love
that.
that you have the
So
fan
good.
art. By the way, I know exactly how you feel. I wrote a children's book about luchadors a couple years ago. Still waiting for the publisher and see how it goes. They're making progress. They told me there's progress. But I love. I mean, behind the scenes, I've been able to see the evolution of Pollo Man and his friends. But I love that we can see through some fan art here by an amazing artist who also happens to be with us today. That we can see some of the evolution of the characters.
Yeah.
Just in a nutshell, to remind people, what is Pollo Man?
So Pollo Man is an Aztec fantasy graphic novel about a young, timid Mexican boy who ends up in Aztlan, the Aztec mythical realm. And there he discovers magic. He discovers the Nawalli and discovers that the earth and the world is dying because of these Tlacatecolo, these evil sorcerers. One of them being El Raton, El Cucuy, La Llorona. All of these evil spirits that we grew up with actually exist and are killing the people of Aslan. And so Pollo Man has to reconnect with essentially his ancestral spirits and become a hero, even though he's this very timid boy. And so in this journey, he ends up meeting Xochi, who's this sort of like really strong-headed girl who grew up just picking flowers and selling them on the streets. And then Chico, a owl Nawali, whose parents want him to be a priest, but he secretly wants to be a Nawali and go fight monsters. And so this ragtag group of these Mexican kids have to learn how to save the world and defeat El Raton, who is this evil beast man who's taking over the world and eating children and taking their teeth.
It's like you're describing my childhood.
Right. That's exactly what it is. It's your childhood, but now in vivid color.
Hey man, you need to block that Kevin Garcia _com guy. He's a troll. Okay, I'm just saying right now.
The world was black
Just
and
block
white.
that guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Block that guy. Yeah. Trouble. He's trouble. He is trouble. But I'm excited to hear that. It kind of like, I understand, like you said, because of the publishing deal, that you're not able to share fully what's going on, right? Okay, cool. Respect that. But I'm glad that there's still movement on it, because as a fan, and I was like, man, what happened to Pollo Man? Like, I dig Nawalli, I dig the work that Will and Grace and Gonzalo are working on, but like, where's that? And it gets quiet. So when we get a little taste of it, and we see on your socials, we're like, oh shit, it's still happening. So I'm excited. Is there anything you can share on that front for us, listener?
Yes, I will share. I have finished writing the book. I just finished the ending, sketching it out. The entire book is penciled and lettered, minus the last chapter. The last chapter needs to be penciled and lettered. But I mean, really, I think the best person to say anything would be Will. What do you think of me and Grace's book that we've been working on?
Yeah, I wanted to chime in because I've been watching him develop this book, like basically the whole time that I've known him. He's been working on the book, and like I first met him right after he did that very first chapter that you've already seen, And so I've seen like all the different evolutions of the book over time, and he's been bringing it to me for feedback and ideas, and bouncing things off me. And I'll say this last 6 months has been the most productive period that he's had in the whole time I've known him. He has just been leveling up over and over and over again. It's like incredible just how fast that he's able to produce super high quality work, and he's just down in the trenches grinding.
I was going to say, this is what
it's gonna
happens
blow
when you
people away.
play the Nawalli card game.
Oh.
You level up in your life as well.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Good advertisement.
Yeah.
Right.
Literally.
Right. Play
Literally.
Nawalli, level up.
But I do think making Nawalli helped him a lot, because he had to do hundreds of character designs that were all in the same style. He did tons of research to be able to develop Nawalli on Aztec mythology and Aztec history. So, you know, he had to do it to make money to survive, but at the same time, it's really helped him develop his book and his art style and his skills too, to where he's going to be able to crank this book out and make it really, really good, and then make future books too. So he's really doing good on that.
I knew the moment I met Gonzalo that he was going to be doing some amazing stuff, because his art then blew me away, and it's evolved since then, like you said.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So concrete details, winter 2026, which means
Okay. All right.
January, sometime between January and March 2026, the book will be out in the store for you to grab it. So that means next year. So the book, currently I am about to finish getting the last edit pass, and I will begin inking and coloring with my colorist, Grace Chadwick. We will be inking and coloring for the rest of the year to finish the book by the end of the year. And hopefully Nawalli will help us be able to just full focus on there. And then next year, I think we'll be sharing a lot about the book. I'll be able to share the cover. I'll be able to share some pages. Like next year is going to be just Nawalli. I'm sorry, Pollo Man. Yeah, I'm just thinking because it's like, oh wait, Nawalli's tomorrow. But yeah.
Before we move on, I want to ask you, because Pollo Man, Nawalli have a very they have good crossover. Am I gonna see a Pollo Man Nawalli card?
Or can they be playing cards in the background of one of the panels?
Oh man. Okay, you guys. Spoiler.
I have plans. for
Okay,
this.
so I wish I could share the can I share? You know what? I think I can.
Like a screenshot?
Yeah, so there is a page in the book where Pollo Man is in his room, and maybe there's a Nintendo Nawalli system and a poster and a card.
Nawalli Entertainment System. I love it.
Yeah, so
Nawalli Entertainment System.
I
Nice.
had one of those growing up.
yeah, everyone needs a Nawalli 64. So
I love it.
yes, on top of that, Pollo Man is going to be experiencing the world of a Nawalli. And so the Nawals in the card game are actually creatures and characters you'll see in the book.
That's cool.
And so
That is really cool. So there is that tie-in we want.
so
A taste of it.
maybe one of the cards in the deck of Nawalli is already a main character in the book. Maybe Pollo Man, maybe his spirit animal is one of the birds in the Nawalli card. And you'll be
There you
seeing
go. You
that.
gotta buy it.
So you'll see that character in the book, and then vice versa.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
yes, when the book is launching, we do plan on having a special Pollo Man set of cards, and those will be
That's
playable
exciting.
in the game.
All chicken edition.
That's cool. There you go.
And yeah,
Puro Pollo edition.
Pollo
Ooh.
edition.
Yes.
You're gonna
Pollo
have
Primo
the
edition.
Nawalli Pollo edition.
Puro, there you go. Primo Pollo edition. There you
Primo
go. Something
Pollo
like that. Be funny.
Sure.
Be hilarious.
Yeah, we are just, that's kind of been the journey. It's like, thankfully with Will and Grace, I was able to work with Nawalli, and like he said, that really helped me with Pollo Man as well. So it's just been like these two things that are so close together, but have a different format, like a movie versus a video game. But yeah.
No, for sure, for sure. And help with, Grace, you mentioned she does the coloring, but she also, of course, want to bring out some of her art. And Kevin wanted to highlight some of it here on the socials. because it's amazing. It's awesome.
I mean, we've already mentioned several times co-creator, helping you make the book. Grace, what has been your input in Pollo Man, and can we talk a little bit about your art as well?
Yeah, of course. Let's see. I've been working with him with Pollo Man for how many years now, Gonzalo?
More than one.
Right?
Maybe 10,
Handful.
7.
7 realistically for Pollo Man.
She's been there from day one.
We've been collaborating for 11 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So you've been helping him refine the characters. I understand
Yeah,
that,
what have
like,
you been doing?
Yeah.
like
I
helping
pushed
develop some of the, like, for example, so Chito.
Yes, I pushed to have. I was like, we don't have any girl characters. Like, what are you doing? What? I need a girl character. I need representation. So when I'm a little kid, me wants to pick this up and read this.
And we had a girl character that would come out like later. Like I was like, I felt like I had everything figured out. It's like, yeah, she comes in book 5 or something.
Like book 5, it's so far away.
And so, yeah, she really helped me. I would say Grace is an amazing storyteller and writer, and she helped me character development, character writing. She really helped me turn my characters from just like a drawing into like a character I can almost see in 3D with feelings and wants and needs and desires and all of that. She is just, as you can see with her work, she has a very good connection with emotion, and she was just able to help me grow, honestly. So I consider her a co-writer, to be honest. Without her, this book would not be as good.
I get really into character backgrounds. So like, we'll have this one character who's in this one scene, and I have already plotted out their whole life history. And I'm like, no, you don't understand.
I love that, because I'm like, I need this character here to move the plot. So I need, like, who is she? I need to find out. And she can really help me know how to tackle it, so I don't spend, so I don't come up with a genealogy tree or anything, but just enough to
we don't need to know who their great grandpa is. We just need to know their life and who they are.
Right.
But the important thing is, Grace, somewhere in a file you have their great grandfather down, right?
Yes,
like it's not going to be in the story, but you have it. I've been there. I know exactly where you're coming from.
Right. But yeah, Grace's work is she's an amazing artist, and her color, she's just has a really good eye for color, and she's just really good at being an editor, kind of looking at the script and the art and being like, no, I don't like that, and just helping make it better. So yeah, she just really is a essential asset for the book, and just a partner and friend and everything. She's a great person.
Such good work. Look at this art. It's just really, really good, Grace.
Grace,
we're fans of it,
How would you describe your art? Because I've blown away by it every time I see it. How would you describe it?
I have a really hard time putting it into words. I know that I would describe my work as colorful or fantasy, fantastical. It's just things that I would really want to see. Like when I was a kid, I loved looking at those little fairy posters.
Mm-hmm.
I was obsessed with those. So I wanted to make my own version, but like not your typical fairy with wings and the same outfit over and over again. Just like connect it with nature.
They're like blacklight posters that are already lit. You know what I mean? Like they just pop when you look at these. It's like, are they under a blacklight already? Like they just have this great touch of the dark and the light, and how you highlight those colors. It just looks like it's electric when you look at this stuff. It's great.
She's so good with colors, and she did, by the way, all the colors on Nawalli as well.
Mm-hmm.
Can we stop right there? That young lady right there in that the upper right, that looks like Lucy from Fallout.
That is 100% Lucy from Fallout. Yeah, that
is Lucy from Fallout. Look at that. Wow.
But
I dig.
Reimagine through the eye of Grace. And by the way, your art always feels very organic and alive. I mean, obviously they're people as well, but I mean, they feel like they're like somehow alive with the environment.
Right.
you.
She puts I think it's the emotion she puts
I'm
behind
assuming
it.
you said thank you, but I heard something else entirely.
I definitely said thank you.
Kevin Garcia, always filling that hole.
See, look, there's the hole right there.
Grace
There you go.
also is an amazing video editor. So these, for example, the videos that you see in that Instagram feed that you were just in.
The real.
Yeah, she
the
made.
reels?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she made these reels, like the go down, and it's the Nawalli one right there.
Yeah, I did make those.
So she made these really
Dang.
cute reels to help us promote the game on social media. So she did all the effects, she did all the video editing, and she learned the program. And she did an amazing job. She's really good at this.
Look, I wanted
Wow,
to like
pretty
it
good.
right now, and I realized I've already done that.
I gotcha. That's
Right.
perfect.
That's
what I needed.
perfect, right? But yeah,
So-
she's multi-talented.
Thank you.
She, like I said, she's an essential member of this team. You know, Will, Grace, and yourself. You've built this game. You're building this world within the game, and even hand in hand. You know, Will said kind of been there from the start too. Just even chiming in with Pollo Man in that world. Like it's all the three of you have come a long way from school
Yeah.
to where you are now. I applaud you. I mean, think about it. To put so much time and effort into something for so long and still have it come through is rare, because how many times haven't we started something and then we let it go? It just didn't work out for us, right? Through the ups and downs, I mean, you've had each other, and all three of you guys as a team. I know you, Grace, and Gonzalo together as well as partners, but it feels so good, man, to kind of like, visit with you and see what you're doing, what we can support. And Primos out there, but the Kickstarter for the point of this recording is already live, right? So we got to try to get. I want the mobile game, so we got to figure out how to make the what is it, 500,000 happen.
I
Yeah.
want the comic at least. Come on, let's get there. We can get there.
Yeah, we can get there. Like, honestly, I am happy and excited to make all this stuff. All it is having the funding. That has always been and I think that's just the case for everyone. But having the funding to do this thing, not to pity party or anything. Like my parents don't come from a wealthy background. I'm a first generation. First to graduate college, first to go to school here in the United States, and a lot of those firsts. So I feel like sometimes it was hard to try to be the first and be successful. And I feel like sometimes though that's why I never quit, because I was like, okay, the American dream is here, that my dad and my mom worked in and sacrificed their lives basically to give me.
Yeah.
So if some dude in New York can create video games and card games and live a successful life, well then hell, I can do it too. Just because I come from the swamp doesn't mean I can't do it. And honestly, it wouldn't have happened without Grace, and it also wouldn't have happened without Will. Will is an amazing, not just friend, but he's an amazing creator. He's a really smart guy. I wanted to mention, he has helped me with my book so much because he comes from a background of reading books, like fantasy books, like The Wheel of Time and Tolkien and all of that. And I feel like he really inspired me to kind of read more of like sci-fi and fantasy. And that has made my book better because of that. And he's even, worked on his own writing project as well. And it's really good. Sci-fi, future, post-apocalyptic, really awesome stuff.
Will, you've been holding out on us, huh? You got some stuff in the
Yeah. I'll probably get going more on it once we get past all of this Nawalli stuff that we're working so hard on right now. But yeah, I'd definitely like to finish that book at some point. Like he said, I've just been reading my whole life. I've been obsessed with books since I was a kid. Started reading Harry Potter in 4th grade and stuff like that, and Lord of the Rings, I think, shortly after that. And so, yeah, I'd love to publish that book at some point. But I definitely appreciate just how hard it is to write a book, and how many times I've rewritten just the chunk of the novel that I've got right now and still feel like it's not up to the standards of what I like to read. And I wouldn't want to release something that's not ready, that's not fully developed yet. So, it's just a work in progress, and we'll see when it gets there.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. I mean, we've all been there with creatives, right? We always need to. What is it? Just let it. Like, at a certain point, you have to stop. It's never going to be finished, right?
Right.
And we're all guilty of it. And we want to just kind of reiterate, the creative art. Anybody in the creative field and any facet of it always has to have that hurdle of, hey, well, you won't make much money, right? Or hey, it's a shot in the dark, it's a flip of a coin, whatever. It's never guaranteed, right? But like you said, like, why is it that at least the way we've grown up has always been, oh, that's a nice hobby, but you
Yeah.
really got to go be a dentist. You know what I mean? Like, go be a
lawyer.
construction worker, get your welding degree or your welding certificate, man, you'll make some money. You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, you're not wrong. There are careers, those careers are amazing. There are plenty of people do them that are great way of life, right? My family's all work. Dad's a plumber, uncle's a carpenter, my uncle's an electrician. They take care of themselves. They're great. They're happy. That wasn't for me, right? But we have this where we talk about my son, right? He watches stuff on YouTube. No one watch TV anymore, but YouTube, online, the card games, what have you, right? And his head is just art. I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna do animation. I'm gonna do this. I'm in that creative space, and it helps that he has access to me, which all I do is talk about representation, right? Be it of all facets, Latino and other, just showing that anybody that really puts the effort behind it can get somewhere, man. So this is just kind of a talking for Will as well, and for you too. Just, hey, what you're doing is great. Work on this game, work on your books, work on your art, because it's inspiring the next generation of kids growing up going, wow, I really want to paint like that, or I really want to develop a game or develop what have you. So take that for what it's worth. My word here, and Kevin, I'm sure echoes that. But we usually here start to wind down the show. We try to talk about something that we've kind of been into or obsessed with over the last few weeks. And I see we brought up Fallout, right? Because you guys we talked about it a little before the show. Kevin still has not finished the show, which is like, what's wrong with you?
I will get to it. The problem, look, if they had released it week by week, I probably would have been on whatever week we're on right now, and I would have watched it. But if you put it all at once, it's kind of overwhelming. I'm not a binge watcher.
We just watched it one episode at a time, like one or two,
like a normal human being.
Yeah. They would just come over and hang out, and then we'd watch it after we finished working. So it was a good pacing.
Yeah.
So you guys finished it. What was your thoughts on it overall? Because Kevin, I want to respect the spoiler stuff because it's worth watching. I will
watch it. I will watch it.
We don't want to burn that bridge.
I'll share without spoiling anything. I think that it was the best adaptation of a video game intellectual property I've ever seen. Yeah. Because, at least for me, it felt like they had the world already. Like, just look at the game. And then they decided to create characters within that world and just come up with the best story they could without having to strictly follow the main character from the video game. Because in the video game, it's an RPG. You do what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, loosely, there's a narrative. But I think that's what made it strong, was that it wasn't just trying to retell the same story, but with actors. The setting, the acting, just everything. I felt like it really was fresh. It was something fresh. It was fun and goofy, but serious and emotional, and all at the same time. It's one of those shows that doesn't come around often, I think.
It really captured the vibe of Fallout, the game, especially Fallout 3. Like, they took some of the stuff from Fallout 4, the power armor is better and things like that, without giving too much away. But the designs from Fallout 4 and creatures from Fallout 4 that were really cool, they put those in. But there's a lot of references to Fallout 3 that are really cool, which for me was one of my favorite video games, way back when that came out. But they have like the junk launcher in the show where it shoots random objects out of it, and that somebody gets. Well, I can't tell you that, but there's there's junk being launched from the junk launcher in a cool way, and so they really paid attention to all those little references and details to make you feel like you were seen as a game player, as somebody that grew up playing Fallout, and it wasn't just, oh well, we're gonna just turn this into something that will do better with mass audiences that don't even like the game. They really made a good show that everyone can enjoy, even if they don't get those references. But then it's just chock full of all of these little details that if you played the games, you're gonna go, oh, I remember that. That's so cool. They put that in there.
Right. Yeah,
So they did a great job with that.
Like what he did. Yeah, like how he said they respected the gamers who played the game, and at the same time, it wasn't just for gamers. It wasn't like a show that it was like, I would be afraid to recommend because it's like, oh, you're only going to get it if you played the game. It's like, no, it's
I
like,
know that feeling.
this is just
as a comic book fan, I know that feeling when I'm trying to suggest something to somebody.
Right.
Definitely.
And I think that to me at least shows a path or direction that maybe more intellectual property should take, is instead of trying to just appeal to one audience or change it to appeal to another, or just follow the same storyline as the video game, and then people compare it and be like, oh, it's different or better or worse. But taking the world that was finally built and just creating really well-developed characters within it. That's what I think, inspired me, honestly. It was like, wow, that's what I want to strive for,
Between Fallout and Last of Us, and even to a certain extent the Mario movie, this is a golden age of video game adaptations suddenly,
Right. I would say the new Mario movie probably better than the first one I watched when I was a kid.
Oh, I enjoyed the first one, but I also
you
know it was
opened up a bag
horrible.
of worms.
I did
Don't.
too. I liked that one a lot.
Will needs to tell you.
As a kid, I knew it was horrible, but I still loved it.
So I'll tell this story since Gonzalo said. So I had pneumonia when I was in second grade, and I was out of school for like 2 weeks. Really, 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 really sick. Could barely breathe. They had me on massive amounts of cough syrup so that I wouldn't just be coughing my lungs out. And the Mario movie, my mom rented the Mario movie for me, and I watched the Mario movie while just completely out of my mind on cough syrup, and I felt like I lived an entire lifetime in that world.
I told Kevin that's the way to watch that movie. It's like, I'm gonna have a bunch of beers and watch the Mario movie, the first Mario Brothers movie. That's the best way to watch that movie. Like, it's not gonna win any awards, but it's also like, hey, let's go watch Buckaroo Banzai, after a couple drinks, right? It's fun, it's goofy, but it's not good.
Like,
It's
I
not
grew up
good,
thinking
Kevin.
that movie was so good. I saw it once and I thought, man, that was a hell of
It's
an
like
awesome
Drop Dead
movie.
Fred. It sucks, but I like that movie. You know what I mean?
Don't bring
Like,
back Drop Dead Fred flashbacks, man.
it's bad. It's bad, and I remember like watching it as an adult, like the scene at the end when they're adult. They're like this it's like whatever. It's just weird.
The first Mario Brothers movie was just called Mario Brothers, and the new one's called Super Mario Brothers. So in my head, they're sequels. One's a sequel to the other.
Okay. Sure, but when you said it's a golden age of adaptations, right? We're getting there. I'm worried because Amazon Prime announced they're doing Yakuza Like a Dragon. So
and Nintendo announced that they're going to allow somebody to make a live action Zelda. So
if they do the Yakuza show or movie like over the top Yakuza the games, I'm all in. But the problem with the Yakuza games is that you spend 45 minutes at a disco doing karaoke and chasing RC cars. That's Yakuza. Like, that's not a show. So I don't know how they're gonna do that, because Fallout had there's somewhat of a world and a mission to survive. Yakuza's not like that. So I don't know how that's gonna happen.
When they make the Zelda adaptation, it's gonna be like a full-on like Game of Thrones series, but like 20 minutes of every episode is gonna be breaking pots, fishing, trying to get the little Koroks with a bow and arrow.
Spinning in a field going, yeah, I'm like just cutting down grass, like that's gonna
looking
be
for
it.
coins that way, because that's where rupees are, man.
The rupees.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
But anything else you guys been watching lately that you've been getting into or recommend?
I just watched Solo Leveling, the whole first season. The
That's
anime. I don't know if you
that's
guys
an
heard
anime,
of
right?
that one.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, it's
so
good, right?
Yeah, it's incredibly good. I've got a friend that is super into the manga, and he's really excited that they're making it into a show. But I haven't read the manga, but the show is just incredibly addictive. It's one of these kind of dungeon fantasy themed animes where it's kind of like World of Warcraft, like you go into a dungeon and you fight in the dungeon, but it's in the modern world, and these portals are springing up and monsters will come out if you don't go fight the dungeon, and everyone just has a fixed power level, but the main character is able to level up through a series of unfortunate events that happen to him, and so he's able to get stronger within this world. He was like the weakest guy, and now he's getting stronger and stronger. So that was just a really, really good first season. One of the best animes that I've seen lately.
Cool. What about you guys, Grace and Gonzalo?
I watched an episode of what he just mentioned, and I can attest it is good. Gives me Attack on Titan vibes. It's very just dark, but yeah, that's a good show. I would say we just started Scavenger's Reign.
I've heard good things about that. I've heard good things about that.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Animated sci-fi fantasy. Imagine Studio Ghibli, but sci-fi fantasy.
I love it.
Like bio, nature, space, weird creatures, and people stuck on this planet, and there's all these weird creatures that like you hit the sploosh mabloosh, and the creature like turns into like a vehicle, and that's just like the logic of that world. It's like organic, almost like the Blue Avatar people movie. You know how they connect.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one. It's called The Last Airbender.
Yeah, that one.
That one.
It's something. It's kind of like that, but better. Animated, and it's beautiful.
Cool.
We're about 3 episodes in,
and I'm sold. Check it out on Netflix. It's great. It's great.
I saw Furiosa, Mad Max film.
Good movie. I loved it.
Loved it. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's awesome. It's fun.
Apparently, most people haven't checked it out. And they need to.
They need to go see this movie. Furiosa is dope. She kicked butt in that film, and Thor surprised me.
Yep.
Chris, what's his name? Hemsworth.
Yeah, and I hate to call him Thor, but like he was basically physically Thor, although not personality wise, but physically he looked like Thor.
He was physically Thor in this film, but he got a lot of respect from me by the end of that film, because you would think he's gonna play that goofy, totally wacky. Because Thor is a himbo, right?
Yeah.
Per se, just kind of goofy and strong, and he's Thor, right? But this Chris Hemsworth is not that Thor. He's not Thor. He's has some acting chops here, and
this is the amoral himbo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's some of that. There's a bit of like this interaction with the two actors toward the end of the movie where you kind of sit back and go, "Wow, this is the actor part of the film. This isn't explosions. This is not gunfight. This is the emotion. This is the conversation." And you're like, "Oh wow, this is fucking good." So it's worth watching it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really worth your time. And I'm saddened, like Kevin said, because they're saying that they had a third movie lined up, but now they're holding back because this one didn't make enough money, which is insane to me. This is so well shot.
You know what's crazy?
The first one's amazing. Oof.
I have to verify it, but like somebody made a list of like the top 10 budget movie, top 10 box office hits this year, and like number 11 was Madam Web, and that is famously a flop. It's just that's how little money people have made this year.
Wow. Yeah.
But
it sucks that that's always the issue. Money will just cancel shows even if they do very well.
I'm looking at it right now. That was a week ago. As of right now, Madam Web is number 14, and that is how bad the studios have been doing this year in theaters.
Wow.
I tried watching Madam Web, by the way. It's not good. I can't, Kevin. I tried. I was 40 minutes in. Like, why am I still watching?
Literally,
this?
have people ask me about this. I'm probably going to put that on in the background while I do some work.
I got bad.
I watched something better today.
Oh yeah.
Star Wars Acolyte just came out. First 2 episodes are out. This is solidly within the Star Wars universe, but a piece of it that we have never really seen before. So there's no Skywalkers to be heard from one way or the other. But it's really good. It's I've really been enjoying it so far. It's only got 2 episodes out that dropped on the same day, which that kind of binging I can do.
Yeah,
but still,
if I have one more to recommend, I would say Will actually recommended this to me. It's called Delicious in Dungeon.
Never heard of it.
Uh-oh. Did you we have a whole episode with Kevin and Ilya, soup to nuts, pun intended, talking about this show. Like, they are head over heels over this thing.
Wait, Delicious in Dungeon?
Yeah, we just
Oh.
Check it
dropped
out,
it a week ago. So catch up on My Primos podcast.
Yes,
There
yes.
you go.
I
MyPrimosPodcast.com
don't
as well.
even know what I ate yesterday. But
I
So
do.
check out the
Don't ask
show.
how I know.
Go check out the show because they get into it. And tell me, doesn't Kevin look like the dwarf that is cooking half the time? Doesn't he look like him?
yeah, I
He
mean,
does.
It's a favorable comparison. He's really cool. So
right.
He is
He
cool.
is the
Will,
sex
I was
symbol of
saying
the
that-
show.
Will is that character because Will is actually a
Always
cook.
cooking.
He is a cook. He's like a fantasy cook that came from some other world. He's able to just
Whoa.
like alchemy. Like, I wish you could taste the ribs that we're going to be serving on Saturday at the launch party on June 8th. I wish you could taste them because they're out of this world. But that's why I give him that character.
Well, good ribs will travel. You know, I heard you're coming to town in Dallas for Texas Latino Comic Con, July 20th, right?
Yeah.
hey, I could actually bring some barbecue because I've actually traveled with barbecue before. I made a brisket and I brought it up to Austin to visit my friends and just vacuum sealed it, wrapped in foil, and then sous vide heated it up. And they were saying it competed with Franklin's barbecue in Austin, which is a big spot. So,
There you go.
I
you go.
like Franklin's. I feel like it's overrated.
Well, Primos, you know, of course, want to just wrap up the show here tonight. I want to thank our guests tonight, Mr. Will Rogers, Gonzalo Alvarez, and of course, Ms. Grace Chadwick. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You guys are always welcome. Don't hesitate. You don't have to have something to promote. You can just come on and chat, make fun of Kevin. It's fun. A lot of
Everybody
people do
does it.
Everybody does it. You know, you should jump on this
It's good
bandwagon.
for your health.
It's very good. Very good.
Fills a hole.
Very good. But
Oh God.
yeah, I mean, literally, he fills a hole. There it is. See, he fills that hole. But I want to just give you a moment and just kind of where everybody can find you, or you know, about Nawalli, because the Kickstarter is live at this point by the time of this recording. So just take a moment and go ahead and share where everybody can find info about the game and yourself.
Yeah. So go to Nawalli.com. It'll take you straight to our Kickstarter page and you can kickstart the game. Then you can check out Tequanis.com if you want to learn more. It's our website with everything you need to know about Nawalli. And finally, you can find me at Gonzink, Gonzzink, on Instagram and Twitter. I post everything I can about Nawalli and my book. So I hope to see you guys there.
And Grace, where can people find you and your work?
You can find me at Gracelessly Graceful on Instagram and Kara.
Nice. And Will, I know you said you're working on stuff on your own. Nawalli's your focus right now. Is there any socials you want to put out there?
I mean, my social is I just use Instagram. Ivixorian is the tag. Gonzalo tags me in some stuff. I mainly just post my cats and barbecue on there right now, though.
Hey, you know what? Hey, there you go. There's a box for that too, you know. So, Mr. Kevin Garcia, what about you? Is there anything coming up? Anything you want to pimp
I am
your wares?
currently not to be found on TikTok because I'm currently in a self-imposed exile, as the app has decided that 4 out of every 5 videos that I post are suspiciously not original. They seem to think I'm copying content from somewhere, despite all of the things being my research, my words, my picture, my voice. And I've been able to appeal all of those videos except for 4. And they say if I lose 5 appeals, I will be banned from the program. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to wait a week until those have expired, so I can start fresh and get potentially banned again. And by the way, those 4 that they have rejected the appeals on are my interviews with George Takei and my interviews with Kevin Conroy, both of which talking about LGBT issues, which is a great thing for Pride Month. So thank you, TikTok.
Wow.
But beyond that, I'm usually available at KevinGarcia_com at most of the socials.
And of course, Primos know you can find us at My Primos Podcast and MyPrimosPodcast.com. Just follow us for more. And of course, check out our Miss Spice Illustrations. She's not here tonight, but check out her work. It's awesome. Check out her Twitch schedule as well. And primos, from everybody here tonight, as always, I say, no matter where you're from, we're all primos. Adios.
Thank you, guys.
¿Qué ondas, primos? This is your primo Freddy. Wanting to thank everybody for watching and listening to this week's My Primos podcast. This week's episode was hosted by yours truly, Primo Freddy, and Mr. KevinGarcia.com. Check out Kevin's work at KevinGarcia_com. And of course, check out the show at myprimospodcast.com and at My Primos Podcast on socials. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to our guest this week, the creative team behind Nawalli, the Aztec trading card game. Check out Nawalli.com for more information and help this project just move forward and reach all those goals. And as always, primos, remember, take care of each other, and no matter where you're from, we're all primos. Adios.